For the first time in over 30 years, the Florida Democrats have candidates in every House and Senate race. Is this a sign that the Democrats will make a comeback, or just a sign that they're going to try?
All right. Here we go. All right. So, in a historic achievement, the Florida Democrats have secured candidates in every House and Senate district race, a first in 30 years. This milestone comes despite being written off after a poor showing in the 2022 midterms, signaling a potential resurgence for the party in the Sunshine State. What say you, Kellen?
Well, in the past, the Florida Democrats have been infamous for seeing a seat where the Republican incumbent has gotten into some kind of crazy controversy, or they're super unpopular. The Democrats could flip it, and then they just don't put anybody in it for some reason.
Right.
This has happened a number of times. A couple here in Central Florida, one from my county. I can think of one from Orange as well. They have a track record of just not running candidates. So I'm kind of impressed that they have actually done this, because it has been so long. And I'm not convinced that we're actually going to see the differences that much, considering the huge registration gap that the Republicans have. But this could be a good start.
It's a start. There's no
Yes.
doubt about that. For the Democrats to field a candidate in every House and Senate district election is impressive. However, there are caveats, and one of the more glaring caveats is the fact that it came a little bit late for some of these candidates to show up on the scene and qualify, and then be certified to run in the election. Again, some of these individuals have come to light, like Leonard Spencer, I believe, in House District 45, that faced Representative Carolina Amici. She had no one running against her in her primary. She had already had her organization in place, her consultants in place, and she has been ready to go. As she challenged the Democrats, bring it on. And then it took a long time for the Democrats to find a challenger who was, one, willing to sacrifice the time and the resources to run for this particular seat against an incumbent. Two, to find a candidate who could be vetted, and I put that in air quotes, someone who kind of checks the boxes for the Democrats to run in that particular seat. And another glaring caveat is the fact that, in this particular case, the Democrat Leonard Spencer has a lot of catching up to do, especially in fundraising. And although the Democrats have fundraised recently as much as over $100,000 in one night, that's great. A good portion of that money is going to go towards one race, and that's the difficult part right there. And so when you have one candidate just absorbing the vast financial resources,
especially in an uphill battle like 45 is,
yes.
Democrats, you don't actually need the incumbent's permission to run someone against them. That's just my fun fact for the day. We actually have an interview with Carolina Amici where we actually talked about this a little bit.
Yes.
it is. We talk about this all the time. It's David's mantra because he's a campaigning expert that the earlier you can start, the better.
Oh,
You
definitely.
know, get prepared a year ahead of time. Instead, we're getting ready for to really kick off in July. Primaries are in August. Most of the elections are in November. That's not a lot of time
It really
to get
isn't.
your name up and convince voters that they need to not vote for the person they voted in last time, that they need to go with a different person this time. It's already an uphill battle. It's even more uphill if you don't have the time to
Exactly.
fully explore it.
And because you're waiting so long in the cycle, things become more expensive.
Yeah.
If you're going to invest in television ads, which I wholeheartedly disagreeing at this
Yeah.
level, it's going to be expensive. For traditional media, newspaper, it's going to be expensive. A lot of things are going to be expensive because it's so late in the season, and those vendors understand that candidates are going to be desperate to get their name out. And comparing when you run against an incumbent, the incumbent has the office of incumbency to run on, so they can put their name on mailers talking about their achievements in the legislature or whatever, and that's paid by the party or by state government. So it's just it's a lot of catch up, and also it speaks to the fact that the Democrats need to build a bench, and building a bench is like what they're doing right now in some of these races is that it's like flying the airplane while you're building it. No one
Yeah.
knows these candidates, and so because they check the boxes for the party, whether it's Republican or Democrat, the public is so disengaged. They don't know. And it's going to be that much difficult to get people to understand the candidate beyond the party affiliation.
Yeah, I mean, because you're right. There's probably a lot of people that don't even know where to start with Carolina
Right.
Amnesty, let alone with a new guy.
Hmm.
So then you have to first. So then you almost have to explain who your opponent is and explain who you are if you want to get new voters out. Because if you just get the same old turnout, then you'll get the same old result.
Hmm.
The Republicans will win all these seats. The Democrats need to drive new turnout. They'll need to get new voters out there.
That's
And,
correct.
and and this is the other issue is starting so late. You have to register decently far in advance in this state compared to a lot of states. You have to be like a business year ahead of time. Damn it,
That's
to
right.
to actually be ready to vote. Like I wanted to register because I'm a college student, so I end up apartment hopping all the time. I want to get re-registered within this county. Um, at the address I'll be in August, but I learned recently. I'm like, nope, I'm gonna have to register my current one, and like a week after I'm registered, I'm gonna have to change my address because that is how far in advance you have to be sometimes, and it's a pain. And when you don't start at the beginning of the year and you need to drive new turnout to get new results, that's a pain. And again, the Democrats are smart. They would have run against Amnesty when she was actually vulnerable. They're not
Exactly.
not not right now when she's no longer in the midst of controversy. If they
Exactly.
if they ran someone against her back then, put all their effort and money behind it, they could have won. They would have had a chance.
Right. As like you said, as the controversy was brewing, as the name was in the mail, that particular candidate could have capitalized on the notoriety instead of it going into a void. And
Mhm.
so you can always bring that back, but then the mailers are going to be expensive. The door knocking is going to be expensive because herding volunteers is like herding cats, and getting them all organized just for one race. Resources are going to be spread thinly. And to take your point further about registration,
Mhm.
the Republicans here in Florida are close to having 1 million registered Republicans.
Which is wild.
Yes, and I
Very impressive.
believe if I remember correctly, the Republicans have a what 500,000 voter gap lead
Yeah.
over the Democrats. So Democrats are going to have to, like you said, register people early and often, and talk to those non-party affiliates
Yeah.
and getting them on your side. You can't just, hope and pray that, an abortion amendment initiative or a marijuana amendment initiative is going to bring people out to vote for
Yeah.
that particular candidate or the complete Democratic, slate.
You know, talking, as a younger voter who mostly hangs out with younger voters and David Washington, um, most of them don't
Oh.
even know what any of the ballot initiatives are this year. I don't even know what Amendment 1 is this year. I only know what 2, 3, and 4 are.
Mhm.
And I consider myself one of the people that usually knows these things pretty well. So if Democrats think that the abortion issue will get people to vote, then they're delusional. If they don't know that the ballot amendment exists, which I think most of them don't, then they're getting nowhere.
Right.
Because you're right, on paper that would be such a good way to drive people out. Because
Yes.
I mean, even if you're not a big fan of abortion, 6 weeks is still controversial. It really pushes even a lot of conservatives, because it kind of rides a very fine line. It's a near total ban. Like
Mhm.
mostly very conservative people I know, they tend to lean towards 12 or 15.
Right.
At least in my circles, they do. So you could get them, and because of how much that policy will piss off anybody who considers themselves pro choice, it would be a great opportunity to drive people out. But it's not working because they don't know the amendment exists. And again, I'm worried for the Democrats that it's too little and too late for them. They can surprise us, and maybe 24 is already kind of a crap year for them. Maybe this is more about, like you said, building up a bench, going into 25 and more importantly 2026, aka the year that actually matters for things, because we'll have the gubernatorial race.
Mhm.
DeSantis will be out, and it'll be about who, new leadership. It'll be a good chance to restart. um it is I think I'm very glad that we're having more candidates. I think it's important for um, races to be competitive. If they're not competitive, if someone's not expecting to be challenged, then that's an incentive for them to do well that is taken away. And it's already challenging enough to incentivize people in government to do well at their job without pulling any kind of crap. It's even harder if you can't even vote them out. At least now it's possible to vote them out, and hopefully the Democrats continue the streak. Because even if they get like very few of these people elected, at least they're actually providing competition, and hopefully uh, that can still improve what we
Right.
get in the end.
Hopefully they're looking at people, voting straight ticket, straight Democrat. Again, if every Democrat came out to vote, they will still be at a deficit
Yeah.
because you could count on, half of the MPAs and, a majority of the Republicans coming out. And if they voted for the other candidate, the Democrats still lose. There's so many kinks in the system here. Um, we just recently had a special election for Orlando City District 5. And congratulations to Shan Rose. She's the
Yep.
interim commissioner of District 5 until there is a judgment on the situation with Commissioner Regina Hill. So stay tuned for that. Or until there's the election in December of 2025. Uh, you had a special election, and the turnout for the general special election, the special general election, was 1% lower than the special primary election.
Yeah.
And that, I believe both parties, or any party, missed an opportunity to push voter registration and turnout in that special election in the area that people talk about is underserved, et cetera, et cetera. And it's disheartening that 9% of the turnout, 9% of the registered voters actually came out for that election. And both parties are missing opportunities. Anyone,
hmm
anyone could have won that special
I
election,
I
and anyone
think
did.
I don't think anybody would have been able to actually drive turnout with that election. I think they were screwed from the offset because there there wasn't a good slate of candidates to pick from.
That's true.
Period. It's pretty much impossible to get excited about any of them. You had a bunch of some random people nobody had heard of, like a business coach, Shan Rose, who's famous for running and not winning, and
Yeah.
Traveris McCurdy, who is just some random guy that has a lot of money, like just some fucking guy. Um,
I don't know if he has a lot of money
he
himself.
has a
He
lot of money
definitely
behind him.
right behind
Oh,
definitely.
and he's endorsed by everybody's favorite Regina Hill.
Yes,
Um,
and we've had a conversation about
Oh gosh,
all
we've had
that.
this conversation ad
So,
nauseum.
but
But I think they were. I don't think any party could have driven anybody out with that selection of candidates. You need to have at least a little excitement around the race instead of, if you vote Democrat, you'll be 5% less depressed this month.
yeah,
And you'll be way more depressed if Regina Hill is found innocent. So,
yeah,
which it definitely seems like a possibility, a
it,
strong possibility. I know David's predicting that she'll be fine.
yeah. I truly believe that Commissioner Hill will be right back in her seat before the next election. I believe her first court date is coming up really soon,
It
as a
is
matter of fact. So
early
I
July.
just think that she'll be back, and to see her there in public, just makes me think, okay, endorsing people, et cetera, just makes me think, yeah,
She
things are looking good for her.
Yeah, she's confident she's going to
Mhm.
get out. We'll see if that confidence is correctly placed. But hey, at least one Democrat is winning out here, even if it's Regina Hill and Buddy Dyer.
Yes,
Um, yeah, the Democrats need more than Hill and Dyer if they want to claw their way back
yes,
up instead of clawing themselves down. Um, I Their timing could be better. If this was a couple months ago, I think I'd be way more invested and interested in what the Democrats have to offer. At this stage, I'm like,
sure,
what are you going to do at this stage?
sure.
People in your party aren't registered. You have like not even a full month to get people registered and ready to vote. You have
That's right.
you have like a couple weeks.
Yeah, vote by mail ballots for
July,
overseas voters are
I
going out.
believe it's July 20th is like the last day to do that.
Hmm.
So at least I think it's the 20th. I could be wrong.
I think vote by mail ballots go out, or you're talking about registering?
Yeah, I'm talking
Yeah,
about
registering.
registration.
Okay, right.
I'm talking
Yeah,
registration. And yeah,
you're about
and
right.
David's right. The vote by mail ballots are, you already got to get signed up for that. Of
Yeah.
course, if you're a first time voter.
And that's another thing about very quickly about both parties and their infrastructure and planning for these elections. Uh, our recent visit through Orange County Watch, we had a tour of the Supervisor of Elections office about a week ago, and it was told to us that the vote by mail applications to receive your vote by mail ballot, they are way down and what they were expecting to receive for this coming primary and also November. So, there's some institutional systemic issues within both parties to address some of these deficits. And I mean, again, going back to last year, we put together a 20-point plan to address the deficits in both parties, particularly the Democrat Party.
Yeah,
And
they need it more.
yeah, I still think it'll be another decade before they become relevant. So
Yeah. Well, it is relevant is that like button, so please hit it. Please subscribe. We talk, if you're a citizen in Florida or you're just interested in the process of government in general, we have tons of resources, cover lots of breaking news, have lots of unique insights. Half the time when we're talking about people talking trash or otherwise, one of us has, at least one of us, somebody in here has met them, um, which is more than I think most reporters in this area can say. Um, yeah, you can't. This has been You Can't Make This Shit Up. I'm Kellen. That's David. And we are